So last night, Rachel Maddow comes on. I mean, they just can't let it go. The left can't let it go. They have to keep acting as if this is the end of the world. It's sad. It really is. It's pathetic. But the meltdown is just absolutely a glorious, glorious thing to watch.
We were made for this. We were made for this. This is what we trained for.
This is what we trained for. This is what we trained for. Look at her trying to hold it back. I'm happy. I'm positive. You just got annihilated in the election.
Have you taken your deep breaths? Have you, in fact, hydrated? Have you had any sleep? I know you didn't. We didn't either. But, you know, we now have got stuff to do. We really were, in some important ways, as Americans, made for this.
For what? To just get utterly dominated in an election?
If this was an election that was not just a choice between two candidates, but it was a choice between keeping the American system of government or trading it in for a strongman authoritarian system instead.
Oh, see? Strongman authoritarian system. Democracy is at stake. We're going to lose our democracy. Nobody believes you, Moscow Maddow. That's why your network is for sale. Yeah, Comcast is selling MSNBC. And this is why, because nobody's watching it.
Then the decisive result of this election gives us not just an answer to the question as to what Americans want to do along those lines, it also gives us a really big to-do list as Americans. If you are an American citizen who does not want to ashcan the American system of government, who doesn't want a strongman authoritarian system where the whole government is one guy and everything else just exists to serve him, if that is not the kind of country that you want, then yesterday's election means you have more to do for your country than you have ever done before. Because now is when the rubber really hits the road, right? We don't just flip a switch and the American system of government is gone. Democracy is gone. It doesn't work like that. I mean,
where are you going?
Not to be boring here for a second, but
you've been boring this entire time. Like, literally, I've been bored to death.
Just getting very real.
Getting very real? The election was 2 days ago. What are you talking about? It's real. It happened. Donald Trump's the next president, and the Republicans own the House, the Senate, and the Supreme Court. It's real. And that result was a statement to you directly, and people like you directly, that they don't believe you. We
now are just another one in the list of countries that has decided to, you know, hey, what the heck? Let's try the strongman thing.
Aren't you the one that wanted like total universal health care like Cuba has? Or universal health care, like just totalitarian government that controls systems and controls businesses? And that would be the government you're describing as the government you've been pushing for.
Let's let democracy go. Let's put in an all-powerful guy instead, see how it goes. There are many more countries in the world governed by that kind of a system than there are governed by ours.
So remember, Donald Trump is Kim Jong-un, Xi Jinping, and Putin, all in one. He's the worst of the worst, the evilest of the evil, even though he was already president and didn't act like that.
The only 248-year-old multiracial, pluralistic democracy in the world. And shall we keep it? A lot of our fellow Americans say we shouldn't. Now we know.
So you think that everybody that voted for Donald Trump is saying that we shouldn't keep democracy, even though it was democracy that elected Donald Trump?
No, now we know for sure. But a lot of Americans, tens of millions of Americans, say we should keep that system, which means time to fight for it. And yes, Americans did fight for it by working on this election, by trying to get the candidate elected who was both the Democrat and the small d Democrat. She didn't win. The strongman candidate won instead. But now history doesn't end. Time doesn't stop. Now we have the benefit of knowing how this has gone in every other country that has been through a democracy to authoritarian transition. And sadly, there are a lot of them. We have the benefit of seeing what's happened in those other countries, though. And what we know is that the more ground the authoritarian takes, the harder it is to ever get that ground back.
You mean like what, I don't know, FDR did, or Barack Obama did, or like all these Democrats, all the power that they did, or like Biden signing an executive order that everybody has to get a vaccine or they'll lose their jobs? Like that type of totalitarianism, or Joe Biden pressuring social media companies to take down content he does not like. That kind of power, is that what you're talking about? Because I'm confused as to where you're going.
And so the first order of business is to stop them from taking any uncontested ground right from the outset when it comes to what our system of government is and what our democracy is. Right? We know from other countries' experiences that quickly, I mean now, in the next few weeks, if not the next few days, they are going to start pushing to see how far the country is going to let them go without pushback, without protest. And part of this is because it's just psychologically advantageous for them to do this now, right? They're counting on the half the country that voted against them, the half the country that doesn't want to give up our system of government. They're counting on all those tens of millions of Americans to be despondent, to feel powerless, to check out, which, of course, would mean letting them do what they want, letting them run the table.
I love how she's playing the compilation of liberal tears.
What they really don't want is for the half the country that voted against them, the half the country that wants to
showing all the tears is like the biggest self-own of all time.
Keep our democracy. What they really don't want is for those tens of millions of Americans to wake up tomorrow feeling scrappy as hell, feeling, sure, regretful about the election outcome, but also, frankly, freed up from having to spend all of our time working on the election. So now we can work full-time on being fricking pirates.
Oh, pirates, like raiding cities, burning them down, looting and pillaging. Is that what you just said? Did you just say that, Rachel?
On being a thorn in the side to anyone who now intends to try to turn this country into some tin pot tyranny.
A thorn in... So what's the difference? I mean, you're still a thorn in the side no matter who's in office. It's not like you got Biden and Harris in office and you stopped being a thorn in the side. That's not what happened.
What they want least of all is to realize that half the country went to bed sad tonight, but then woke up tomorrow fired up with a new sense of purpose, knowing that apparently this is what we're on this earth to do as American citizens in this generation. Because history did not just end. Time did not just stop. We just got marching orders from the universe and the Electoral College.
I mean, you didn't, though. You didn't get marching orders from them. You got stand down orders. Like, it was embarrassing how bad you lost.
That as of today, American citizens who do want to hold on to democracy, we know exactly what we're going to be spending the next days and weeks and likely years of our life working on.
There's no difference. There is zero difference. Like, that's all you've done is try to flip this and turn this and lie and protest and raid cities and destroy towns. There's zero difference to what you're going to do than to what you have been doing. You don't have any leverage.